Hey YouTube, welcome to another Green Dragons Gaming Club Battle Report. Without us, they never feel like winners. Without them, we couldn't look so good. This is another Pretty Boy Bat Rep, and this is Buckeye Game 1. If you saw my other video, I squeezed our Marks and I's three team battles into one video, and now we're going to focus on the single GT games. So this is my list. If you want to just pause it and take a look, it's pretty much the list I had been practicing with for a while before the tournament on UB. And game 1, I am playing against Demon Legions. I'm playing against a very interesting list, and I'll just leave it on this slide for a bit because it's a really cool picture. I'm playing against Tarius. Tarius, if you're watching, I apologize. I have no idea how to pronounce your last name. But great guy. He brought an all-lust list, and it was interesting. I'll go over the list more in detail, but on the car ride up, it was me, Mark, and Phil Carl. Mark got Jesse Silva, Chaihammer's brother, game 1, and that was actually the toughest matchup of the three of us. His list is just a counter to Mark's list. He had 5 War Machines in it. So he was thinking about what he was going to do. Phil was playing a Warriors of Dark Gods player with his all-tree list. He had one character in that list that could really do a lot of damage, but besides that, Phil thought that it was somewhat manageable. I was looking at Tarius' list, and it was a lot different, and I think, at first it seemed pretty manageable, but then I was looking at it more and more, and I'm just like, ooh, there's some matchups in here that I just don't like. And I'll talk about that a bit more. So anyway, this is after deployment. It was blind deployment game 1. And the secondary objective is just hold your ground, so hold the center. And I'll go over his list real quick. On the left, he has a unit of 2 Claw Fiends. Then he has a lone cowboy character. Next to them, he has a chariot. This chariot is crazy. I honestly don't remember the name of the chariot, but it's got like 15 attacks between the riders and the mounts, and then it does d6 plus 3 impact hits. It's just crazy. Then he has 2 big siren units in the middle. One has his BSB, one has his general on foot. They're one in each unit. That big looking thing, it's just like a giant box with like things crawling out of it, is his demon engine. By the way, his army is beautiful. My pictures don't really do it justice, but it is a very interesting look to it. Then he's got another one of those chariots, and then another unit of claw fiends. So let me just go back a picture. So his list is very fast. It's faster than mine, to be honest. The claw fiends are move 10. The cowboys move 10. The chariots are move 10. Even the chariots are move 10. The demon engines move 8, so he's not a slouch either. And even the infantry are movement 6. So he has movement on me. In terms of magic, he brought one of his characters, or no, both of his characters, his BSB and his general, both have divination, so he has like 4 divination spells. So we're pretty equal on magic. He doesn't have much range, so that's the one advantage I have. Only his cowboy character has a little bit of shooting. But my issue looking at this list is his blocks. If I can manage to catch his small stuff, I can kill pretty easily. But those sirens are initiative 5. They have 2 attacks apiece. They're armor piercing 2, so I'm not getting armor saves from anything. Their weapon skill 5, so I'm not hitting him that easily. And he has +1 to wound. And I'm just going, oh, I don't even want to send my executioners in there. And there's really not many units in this game that I wouldn't send them into. And I'm just thinking, I don't think that I would win that fight in the long run. He has about a unit 26 and a unit 27. I might win the first round of combat, but then he could just win in the grind. Not to mention the fact that they're not going to break. He could have a counter charge. And they have a 5-up ward save, so if he just rolls lucky for his ward saves, there's not much I can do. Just really tough units. So I was going into this game thinking, I don't have really great ways to deal with those blocks unless I whittle them down with magic and shooting, and then A, multi-charge them, or B, get like a flank charge and grind them down that way. So I'm not looking forward to dealing with those blocks. The one advantage I think I do have is that he only has 2 scoring units, which are those 2 blocks, and I have 5. So, unfortunately, because it's blind deployment, it really comes down to how we deploy. So I'll just take you to my side of the board. So on the right, I've got Dark Raiders. They'll Vanguard out of the water, so I don't really care. Dancers behind them. I know they look a lot like Corsairs. Trust me, they're dancers. I have a unit of Repeaters in the woods with a Bolt Thrower. Executioners on the right flank because those ruins are not going to stop them. And I figured, anything that he charges through there is going to have to take DTs, so that's just a win for me. Harpies behind them. And then I put the Knights in the center. The reason being, obviously, I don't know where he's setting his stuff up, but I figured if I put the Knights on the flank like I normally do, his stuff is just too fast. It's movement 10. He's easily going to get the charge off on me, and if he gets the charge off on me, those Knights are toast. Even his Clawed Fiends, it's like a -3 or -4 to my armor, so I need to get the charge off of them. I figure they're better in the center, and they'll have a better chance of contesting the objective too. Put the spears next to them. I put the Kraken to support the spears, and then Bolt Thrower and another unit of Dark Raiders. I'm not sure who chose sides, but he won the roll-off to go first. This was after Vanguards. Over here, I just moved stuff up. And this is his turn 1 movement. So he moves the Cowboy up aggressively. He moves the Clawed Fiends up. He's moving the Chariot up a little bit. He's not moving as aggressively with his blocks as I thought he would. He moves them up a little bit. This side moves up a little bit. He's trying to get the Claw Fiends around that flank. He can easily get out Arc of my Raiders, which is fine. I'm not racing to get into combat with him anyway. Nothing happens in Magic. Unfortunately, for most of the game, he just had bad luck in Magic. The divination spells are tough to get off their high casting values, and he's rolling low. But in shooting, his Cowboy character has like that whip item and kills 2 of my fast cav, but they pass their panic test, no problem. So now we go into Dread Elf's turn 1, and I obviously have to deal with the threats he's pressing with me on the flanks. So I move the Kraken up in front of the Clawed Fiends, because now his Clawed Fiends can't charge the Bolt Thrower. I measured it out. He can wheel around the Kraken, no problem, but he has to wheel enough that he won't be able to hit the Bolt Thrower. And if he charges the Kraken, that's a win for me. Dance the Dark Raiders around. Nothing can charge them. And basically, and I moved the Spears over a little bit, and I moved my Caster over. And what I want to do is, between my Caster, the Bolt Thrower, and the crossbows on those Dark Raiders, I want to kill his Cowboy character. That guy can be a fiend. By the way, all of his characters have this ability where they have distracting and they half your weapon skill. So basically, anything in my army is going to hit them on 6s, if not 5s at best. So they're really hard to kill in close combat. But the Cowboy character is only T3, 3 wounds with a 5-up board save. So he's really not that hard to kill, but I need to shoot him down, otherwise he's going to kill that Bolt Thrower, and he's going to just be a pain in my ass. So that was my thinking there. The Knights stay where they are. I move the Executioners. Oh, I'm sorry. I actually declared a charge, I think, this turn. Oh, no, I didn't. No, I just moved the Executioners up a little bit. I'm not really worried about the units he has on that right flank. I just don't want him to get a combo charge. So that's the only tentativeness I have. The Dancers of Yima have Strider, so I move them into the water. And then I move the Dark Raiders around. But I fail my March test. So unfortunately, I can't get the Dark Raiders out of line of sight of those Clawed Fiends without giving his Chariot an easy charge. So I figure I'm just going to move them back. I'm going to shoot at him. I'll shoot the bolt thrower at them. Hopefully I do enough. If not, if he's going after my raiders, hopefully I can just like tie him up over there, and it'll take him a while before he gets behind my lines. Go into magic. I increase the armor save on the Kraken. I don't really care about the spell so much. He doesn't either. He lets it go through. But now I get flammable off on his cowboy character, and that's what I really wanted. I then do the Quicksilver Lash. My Oracle does a wound to the character, and then she throws a bolt thrower at him and just impales him, which was awesome. So that threat is gone. I didn't even have to waste shooting on him, which was perfect. And as a result, I shoot with Dark Raiders and a bolt thrower, and I kill off one of the Clawed Fiends on the other side. So couldn't get both, but I'm still pretty happy with that. And then with the rest of my shooting, I try to focus fire as much as I can into, this is his BSB's unit, and I kill, I think, 3 of these guys. And then it's his turn. So turn 2 for Lust Demon Legions. On the far right side, his one Claw Fiend charges my Dark Raiders. I could have stood and shot. Chances were I probably wasn't going to do anything, and then he gets into combat. And again, I'd be lucky if I do a wound. He's probably going to get through like 2 or 3 of those guys and chase them down anyway. I decided to flee, and he caught me, which really sucks, because now he's going to be in my backlines next turn. I was hoping to delay him a little bit longer and keep the Dark Raiders alive in the process. Over here, he makes a smart play. The Claw Fiends just march around the Kraken, which is fine. He brings the Chariot around to threaten that side. Let's see. Not much else. He passes his reform test after catching the Dark Raiders, so now he's facing Bolt Thrower, which really sucks. And that's about it. Nothing happens in magic. He has no shooting. Dread Elves turn 2. So, I think I made a mistake over here. It's hard to tell for sure. So I bring the Raiders around to continue to shoot those Claw Fiends. Unfortunately, because his blocks moved up a little bit, I can't keep having my general focusing on this flank. I need the spears to be, and the BSB to be facing towards the middle. So I need the Bolt Thrower and the Dark Raiders to hopefully kill one of those guys to make it more manageable. I think my mistake was moving the Kraken up. Again, it's hard to tell from the picture of the range, but basically, what I could have done with the Kraken is moved in front of the hill. The Chariot wouldn't have been able to see him, and then he could still bring support to the spears. The only issue is the Chariot's moving 10, and even with the hill in the way from his corner, he can see the corner of my Bolt Thrower. He might have been in an easy charge range to charge that Bolt Thrower, and then he gets a flank charge into my spears for free, essentially. So I might have had to do this move just to chaff him up, and I'm hoping it's a pretty tight fight, but I'm hoping even if he charges the Kraken can kill this thing. It just depends on his roll for impact hits. And then if I win, I have the Kraken threatening the flank of his infantry, so could pose a problem. This is the turn I charge with my Executioners. So I do the Blessing where I can give them a reroll charge distance on his far Chariot. I needed 11 on Swift Stride. So 11 Swift Stride rerollable, that's actually a pretty doable charge. It's not high odds, but I figured it was worth a shot because it's really not a big deal if I fail. And there's a huge upside, because if I make that charge, I'm going to kill that Chariot outright. And then I'm going to put myself, I can either overrun or I can put myself basically into the flank of his lines, and now he has to make some hard decisions. And that changes the game completely. I fail. I mean, it was a far charge. The only issue is that I rolled high. I rolled like a 6 on one of the dice, so I moved forward and then wheeled. So the only issue now is that my flank, I moved up enough that I'm giving a flank to the middle infantry block, and if he makes that charge, that's into my flank, and that's game over for the executioners. He needs like an 8 or a 9 to make it to them. So then, with the chaff that I have available, I decide I'm going to fly the harpies up there, chaff up both the chariot and the demon engine, because I don't want him to multi-charge the executioners. And if he decides that he wants to try to charge the infantry block, I'll flee with the executioners. He's going to fail. He's going to end up failing the charge and wheeling. And I moved the spears up aggressively so that when he does that, they have their flank. I countercharge, he can't flee. And then I should be able to take that unit. And I have my Dark Raiders over to the left that I can chaff up his general's unit so that he's not countercharging my spears. So that was my game plan there. On the right side, these dancers, I'm not going to be able to chase that Claude Fiend. I'm going to move them up. They can't get charged by anything because the harpies are chaffing. And I figure, one, they could put a little pressure on his flank, and two, really the main goal for this unit in this list is just to help me win objectives. So they're in a safe spot. They can help out like in a flank if I need them or something. If not, they're going to just start heading towards the center. I probably should have moved my repeaters. I was hoping, though, that I could start doing a couple wounds here and there. I still should have moved them. Because that Claude Fiend is in a bad spot. If he kills that bolt thrower, he can overrun into them. And I think I'm relying a little too heavily on the bolt thrower to take it out. It only has 2 wounds, but nothing happens in magic and shooting. I only do 1 wound to it. It's still alive, which pisses me off. Sorry for the bad picture. With the repeaters, they decide to take aim at the chariot. They actually managed to do a wound to it. And then, this is after the fact. I managed to do a wound with my crossbows. I think between bolt thrower and crossbows into this unit, which probably should have done more, but it is what it is. He charges the bolt thrower there. Nothing I can do. He charges the bolt thrower there. Again, nothing I can do, and I'm an idiot for leaving those repeaters there. Over here, he was happy about this. He was like, well, you can't charge me right now. I'm not going to bother getting those guys out of the way. So I think he makes a smart move with the chariot, moving it back, because he knows that, if he charges those harpies and the chariot's just sitting there, I'm going to brutalize it. He decides not to take the bait with the sirens, which, I thought he might have tried to go for it. I don't know if he saw the trap or if he just figured he would fail it. And then he leaves the demon engine right there. The only issue that I see with this move is if he wanted to save the demon engine, he probably should have moved it back a little bit, because those harpies can easily just charge out of the way. My executioners can charge the demon engine in the front. But anyway, that's what he did. Over here, we're going to see how this goes. Chariot charges the Kraken. He moves up aggressively with these sirens. He wants to start putting pressure on those spears, who are a little bit isolated right now. So this is the one magic phase, I think, where he actually got a meaningful spell off, and it was actually very helpful. He got an aura off of the Know Thy Enemy, so everything's getting +2 weapon skill, +2 initiative, which is really bad for my Kraken. He kills the bolt thrower. I am fortunate, though, that he does not overrun far enough to hit the spears in the flank, so that is good. Over here, again, I was fortunate. He doesn't kill the bolt thrower. He does a couple wounds. I, unfortunately, with the crew, are not able to peel off that last wound, but they do hold, so the repeaters are saved at least. Oh, and this broke my heart. If he did not get the spell off, the Kraken actually would have lived to fight back against these guys. The key difference is that he was hitting me on 4s and not 5s. because his highest weapon skill is 5, and I have distracting. With the spell, he was only hitting me on 4s. Because the impact hits only did like 3 wounds, and then he was able to do like the last 2 wounds with his charioteers before I could strike back. If the Kraken could have fought back, that potentially could be really bad for him, but now I lost my monster, who actually could have really posed a threat to his infantry blocks, and that chariot can do whatever it wants now. Alright. Turn 3 for Dread Elves. I charged the rear of these Clawed Fiends. I only have 3 guys. I'm hoping I do 1 wound, which kills a guy, and then I've got, he might do a wound or 2 back, but I have charge, rear, wound, and that he just disintegrates at that point. If nothing else, hopefully they'll hold them up so my spears can do something else. I kind of just sidestep the spears. I don't mind if his 1 Siren unit charges. The other one's like way too far out, because then I'll countercharge with the Knights, and I think I'll be able to grind them out, hopefully. And the way he reformed his chariot, the chariot can't see anything, he's behind the hill, so I'm okay with that. This killed me over here. So, I had the option, I was in range for the blessing, and I said to myself, I'm going to charge the Harpies into the chariot. I know the Harpies are going to die, but that frees up the Executioners to charge his Demon Engine in the front, and he's so wide, I'm getting all of my attacks with Hatred. I'm doing the math, and on average, I'm doing 8 wounds to the thing that he's not going to save with his ward save. But that would rely on me rolling average. And I never want to rely on that. So basically it was coming down to, should I give myself reroll charge or rerolling the wound? And I said, you know what? If I don't kill it, he's going to attack back. He's going to kill a few of my guys with his regular attacks and then stomp. He could possibly hold, because his BSB is right there. And I just can't have that happen, then have the Sirens charge me in the flank, because that would be a huge swing in the game. I only needed a 9 on the charge, so I said, I'm doing the blessing so they can reroll the wound. That way I make sure it's dead from the initial onslaught, and then I can overrun into the flank of the chariot, kill the chariot, reform, and now I think the game is pretty much mine, because they're in the flank of his Sirens, and he has to, start making tough decisions, and my Knights can be there to support. And I failed the charge. I needed a 9 on Swift Stride. It's just average, and these guys really screwed me over. So now the Harpies are going to die needlessly, and I've got to, kind of come up with a backup plan here. What is this? Oh, this is into Magic now. So hold on, let me just go back a picture. So because they failed charge, you see the repeaters, I marched them up. I'm going to try and bait him. The Sirens are still pretty far away. Because I think you back them up. So I'm hoping that he charges the repeaters, and then I'll flee, and just flee through everything, and then he'll have to charge the Executioners, and which I'll win that fight. I'll kill him. Or he tries to go for the Dancers, but they're so far away he fails, and then next turn I get a flank charge type thing. Alright, now onto Magic. I get some spell off that's not super meaningful, and I put Flammable on this unit in case they want to charge the spears. I'm rerolling to wound against them. So that's just a better picture of that. And I don't think anything else of note really happened. I might have just killed a couple guys with, like, my lash. Nothing happened in shooting. We go into combat, and I whiff with my attacks. I don't do any wounds to him. He kills a guy back. I'm winning by, let's see, charge, rears 3, he kills 1. I'm winning by 2. And he takes his check, but he doesn't roll real high, and he takes 2 wounds. He loses the guy, and then he has this guy left on 1 wound. So, it's good in the sense that I'm holding him up. He's not going to be able to annoy me next turn, but I'm really hoping I can just finish this guy off, because these things are a pain in the ass. Over here, we were both completely shocked. The Harpies go first, and they actually do 2 wounds to this thing. And then he, of course, just cleans them up after. But that was impressive, because that guy only has 2 wounds left now. He finally kills the Bolt Thrower, and he just reforms to face behind my repeaters. We go into Demon Legion's turn 4. He takes the bait. He charges the repeaters. I flee, like the pansy that I am. They don't flee far, though. And so what happens is, he tries to redirect with the Demon Engine, and he fails his leadership check twice, which is unfortunate. He's only leadership 7, but he had it twice. He fails it. He must go after them. And then he tries to ping-pong, because my repeaters ended up in front of his Clawed Fiends. The Clawed Fiends charge, bounce me back up. His Demon Engine catches them, but then he's outside of BSB range. He fails to pass his test to reform. So he catches the repeaters, but now he's stuck there, and it worked out perfectly. My trap worked, the Executioners have a flank on him, and my Dancers now have a charge in his front. So this couldn't have worked out better for me. Rest of his turn, he actually moves the Sirens back a little bit. He doesn't really want to deal with those spears. But then he brings the Chariot around to threaten the flank, which is not good. And that's just how that side of the board looks. I think he just maneuvers the Chariot a little bit. He gets a spell off this turn, Unerring Strike. He's trying to whittle down those Executioners. He only kills 2. It's not going to be enough to really make a difference. I go into combat, and I cannot slip a single wound through these guys. They're only toughness 4, so it's not a crazy high number, and I just can't do it. He kills another guy. I'm still winning combat because I have a rear, and he passes his test. I mean, they don't have real high leadership, but he just keeps passing them, and now I'm getting a little worried. So that's that. So this is now Dread Elf's turn 4. I kind of know what's going to happen on the right. I'm just trying to keep his forces at bay to let that flank do what it needs to do. So I just move the Spearman back a little bit. If he wants to charge that Chariot in, he's going to hit them in the front, and I don't care. I'll kill it. But I just don't want multi-charges, and I preferably don't want to deal with the Sirens, especially when I don't have help. And then over here, yeah, there was no way I could pass this up. Yeah, like I could march the Executioners past it or whatever, but that, then I'm taking charges, and then I have a Demon Engine potentially in my backfield. It doesn't get any better than this. The only issue is that the model, I hate the way this model is. Its flank actually gives me less attacks than its frontage does, which is annoying. So instead of getting all my attacks, I think I'm getting 7 across, which is not ideal, but I have 21 attacks hitting on 3s with Hatred, wounding on 4s in the flank, and then I send the Dancers into the front, and I'm going to give them flails, so they're hitting on 2s, wounding on 5s. I should easily kill this thing before it gets to strike. And if by some miracle it lives with static combat res, it should just die. So I'm in a good spot there. In Magic, I just boost the armor on these guys so they have a 3-up in case he wants to get froggy. Just hedging my bets the best I can. I make sure, just for good measure, I make sure this Chariot is flammable. And then in Magic, I think I do a wound to it. And then in combat, this is so annoying. Again, I fail to kill this thing, and he finally kills me off, and now that thing could potentially tie me up, which is just annoying. And then, dear God, this happened. So, we start this combat, and he goes Fear. And I immediately am dreading to pick up the dice. The Dancers pass, the Executioners fail. Of course they freaking do. But I'm still doing the math, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm 5s, but I have Hatred. I still should do about 4 wounds to him, and then the dancers could possibly finish him off, and if not, again, I'm just winning by static combat res at that point. So we go into this fight, the executioners do about 3 wounds, okay, the dancers do another couple wounds, so he's taking 5 wounds at this point. That's fine. He attacks on the executioners, he kills a bunch of them, and then we do the combat res. I think he kills like 7 executioners. So I do 5 wounds to him, but I have charge, I have flank, I have a big flank, I have a rank, and I have a banner. So I end up winning this combat by 3, and his BSB and his general way too far away. And he's only like leadership 7, so now he's down to leadership 4. And guess what? He rolls a 5. So he takes 1 wound, which normally pretty much kills any monster in the game, but no, this thing has 7 frickin' wounds. So due to just horrendous luck, I'm now completely screwed. I'm just stuck there. And I'm like beside myself because I was positive I had this thing. And there's nothing I can do to reform because I have to keep the same number of models in combat. I've slid down as much as I can. That chariot's going to hit them in the flank. I'm going to get a Clawed Fiend in the other flank, and it's just going to be a disaster. Oh, man. Just brutal. So, in his turn, Demon Legion's turn 5, inevitably, these 2 things charge the executioners in the flank. Okay. Nothing really happens in magic or shooting. We go into combat. This is the main combat here. And I feel fear with both my units this time, which is perfect. Absolutely what I want. We go into the actual combat. His chariot has 1,000,000 impact hits. He's like 15 attacks with the riders. And then he has the Clawed Fiend going. The only good news is I killed the Demon Engine easily before it gets a swing, so that thing's dead. The dancers are out of combat, so they don't have to worry about it. I do another wound to the chariot, so it has 1 wound left. I do nothing to the Clawed Fiend. And when the dust clears, I have like 5 or 6 models left, and I'm thinking, okay, this is really bad, but I can still salvage the situation. I'm steadfast. And I probably don't need to tell you that I failed the steadfast check. Of course. So I flee. Even with Swift Stride, I roll like a 4, and he easily catches me. So that ends up like that. Oh, my goodness. That, it's frustrating even to talk about it now. Okay. So now, it's my turn, right? And I'm thinking, like, this game has gone away from me quickly. I was thinking I would get a 15-5 on this game, honestly, because I have 5 scoring units to his 3. I should win the objective, and I figure between my range and just some of my better units on the flanks, I could get up on points and walk away with a 15-5. It's a much tighter game now. He just got a huge amount of points. I'm still thinking, though, my dancers are in a good spot to get that objective. And the knights have an easy flank charge on his chariot because he chased with both units to get my executioners. It only has 1 wound left. I'm going to charge the chariot in the flank. And then I'm going to march the spears over as best I can. I'm going to have at least 2 scoring units. Get the objective, get some points back, because that chariot's like 400 points. So that's a lot of points. And I can pull the game out with the objective. Maybe winning like 11-9, 12-8 at best, something like that, and get a small win. And I'd be perfectly happy with that. So I charge there. I do a swift reform with the spears, just trying to get them closer to the center and get the BSB as close as possible. Unfortunately, his chariot can still charge the rear pretty easily, and his Clawed Fiend can charge the flank. I'm hoping that I can kill the Clawed Fiend, because it only has 1 wound left, and then reform, deal with the chariot, and then pick up those points, and then just conserve the rest of it so that his sirens are too far away to charge. So we get into combat. Nothing, again, really happens in magic or shooting, and I'm just getting the dancers ready to take the objective. We go into combat. My knights, part of the reason I charge the knights into is their initiative 6, so I'm going first. I have 5 attacks hitting on 3s, and I'm wounding on 3s, rerolling 1s to wound. I don't do a single wound to this chariot, and I am fuming. He fights back. Now, he doesn't get, impact hits or anything, but he has a bunch of attacks that he can throw at these guys. He does 4 wounds, and Lust gets, armor piercing 2 or 3. I think it was armor piercing 2. Yeah, it was armor piercing 2. So he does 4 wounds. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to lose 2 guys. I fail all my armor saves. So I have 1 stupid knight left. So I only get 2 raptor attacks. The raptor doesn't kill it. I actually lose combat. The only reason I stick is because my BSB is there. And then look at this. His stupid chariot lives with 1 wound. That plan's going down the drain. He reforms. He's facing the front. I'm just screwed royally. He's moving his character out of his 1 unit. The other unit marches up onto the objective on turn 6. A little more foresight, and he could have gotten the second one, but he was too far away. He tried to march. He's only going to get 1 scoring unit on the objective. He makes both his charges into the spears. Again, I'm fine. I actually have a spell on the spears, and I put flammable on the chariot. We go into combat. And yep, of course, the chariot kills the last knight, because the last knight couldn't kill him, so he conserves half his points. We go into the spear combat. I cannot do a single wound to that claw fiend, yet again. The only good thing is that in 2 rounds of combat, I can't do a single wound to a claw fiend. 2 rounds of combat, I'm able to do 2 wounds to the chariot, so at least I get half points for it. I'm pulling at straws at this point. Oh my gosh. I'm just beside myself. And the only shining moment I have is that it's my turn 6. I measure it out. I can march 12, and those dancers are going to claim the objective. Or they're going to contest it. So he'll win, but he's not going to get a big win on me. And I'll walk away from this game with at least some points on the table. And I fail my effing march test, because that stupid chariot is alive. So I can't march. He wins the objective with 1 scoring unit. And Demon Legions win 16-4. The only thing I had going for me is that my spear block, the spears are a decent amount of points, the BSB is worth a lot, and my general is worth a lot. So that conservation of points kept me, from getting 20-0'd. But oh my gosh. And I don't want you to get the wrong idea. Tarius was a great opponent. Oh man. At the end when I failed that march test, he covered his mouth. He was trying not to burst out laughing. And he tiptoed over, laughed, and came back. And he's sorry, I just had to do that. It was a really fun game. Things just going back and forth. Very tactical. And yeah, he was a great guy. And even though I got my ass kicked, it was a fun game. But if you couldn't tell, I'm a little bitter about the ending. MVPs, I mean, for him it had to be that stupid chariot. Goodness gracious. Comes in, just obliterates my executioners, chases them down, takes a flank charge from knights, kills them all, and then prevents, my last unit to march onto the objective to make it a tighter game. For me, literally nothing in my army did what it was supposed to do. The only person that did their job was the Oracle. I was consistently doing well in the magic phase. I killed his lone character in the beginning. I forgot to mention that later in the game, on the other side, she did a lash and killed his last claw fiend on that side, so she got those points. Just buffing everybody, making stuff flammable. She was the only person that did her job, so I like seeing the alchemy at work. So what did we learn today? Well, the dice gods giveth, and as you know, they taketh away. I mean, I just had horrible dice rolls this game. With the exception of magic. My magic phases went well, but I mean, I couldn't pass a fear test. I couldn't pass a march test. I couldn't pass a break test. Man. And just the combats. I can't remember a game where I've had this many flank or rear charges, and I've lost all the combats. I'm looking back in this game still, and I honestly don't know with the exception of the one move with the Kraken, what I could have done differently, I probably would have done the same thing. The dice absolutely hated me. And again, this does not take away from Tarius' play at all. But my army let me down this game. There's no doubt about it. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. This was a game where, like I said, I thought I was going to get a 15-5 on, and then I lost big. It pretty much kind of crushed my hopes, because I had pretty high aspirations going to this tournament that maybe, not that I would win the whole thing, but I would get near the top 20, or, maybe even the top 10 if I got on a good roll, because I've had success with this army before. And after this game, I was just I was kind of defeated in the sense, there's definitely no way I'm going to win this tournament or even be in, the top 5. So it was kind of just, it changed my whole mindset going forward. And now I'm not playing my game. I'm going into the rest of the games thinking, I need to play even more aggressive than I normally do to try to get 20 O's. And, I think that I've learned from this game that even if, you kind of get screwed over and you get stuck with a result you don't like, you got to just forget about it, go into the next game, and try to play your same level of game, and you can be okay. Because, I only walked away with 4 points, but, if I do really well in the other 4 games, I can still finish in, the top 20. So I think that's just something, again, I'm a relatively new tournament player, so it's just something I've got to learn. Those chariots are amazing. I've never played a Demon Legion list like this before. I really liked it. My only critique is that he only has 2 scoring units, but those chariots are movement 10, which is crazy, and they just hit so hard. And I think they overperformed for him this game. They were just really good. And Tarius was a great opponent. We just had a lot of fun, a lot of good laughs. It was never a tense game at all. I have to say, through Buckeyes, I got really lucky. I had great opponents all around. So, but yeah, that's the end of the game. Please feel free to leave any comments, suggestions, anything like that. Subscribe, do all that YouTube stuff. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you at the next one. Peace.